Imagine a place so natural, so breathtaking, that it's hard to believe that it even exists. Mountains soaring thousands of feet high, endless wilderness completely untouched by man, and so much unpressured fishable water that you could pick a new spot to fish every single day and still never be able to fish them all in your lifetime. Imagine streams and lakes full of fish and endless opportunities to make your dreams a reality. Imagine a fisherman's paradise. The place that you're imagining is called Alaska. Since moving to Florida 2 years ago, I've had the incredible opportunity to fish some of the greatest saltwater fisheries in the country and catch some seriously awesome bucket list fish. But fishing's never really been about catching the biggest fish for me. In fact, that's really only a small part of it. 90% of why I got into fishing in the first place was the adventure, the exploration, and the amazing places that tracking down that bucket list catch takes you, and being back home in Alaska has made me realize that now more than ever. Today I'm reuniting with my good friend Glenn. We've filmed some awesome videos together before, and we've known each other since we were kids, so it's pretty much guaranteed that when we get together, we're gonna have a great time.
In the backcountry of Alaska, if anything goes wrong here, we're fucking dead, bro.
The goal for today's mission is to try something that we've never done before. Today we've drove about an hour out of town to a spot that we've fished in the summertime before and had great luck with big fish, but we've never fished it in the wintertime, so today's trip is completely experimental.
That's a nice fish. That's a big fish, man. Yeah, that's definitely the biggest one we caught out here.
To make things even more challenging, the lake that we want to fish is about a mile back off the road and not accessible to vehicles. So the only way to get to it is to trek about a mile over a frozen lake and through the woods in deep snow on foot. And hopefully all the effort will be worth it.
Doesn't start. I don't see bottom, so we got a little depth there.
Yeah.
We got about 9 feet right here. That's about what I'm thinking. I wanted to be between 5 and 10.
Yeah.
So maybe here, and then maybe we put one slightly closer in like 5 or something.
You ain't got no legs. Lieutenant Dan, I can't feel my legs. Beautiful. Oh yeah.
We'll do some 20-pound fluorocarbon leader here. We're gonna throw one of these airplane jigs on this first rod. These are really cool. They've got a trailer on there, so it kind of eliminates the need for using the wire leader for these guys. So I'm gonna tip this airplane jig up with a little piece of whitefish, and then I'm gonna rub it up with some scent here and get that all in the bucktail. Kind of get that manufacturer plasticky kind of scent off there. And then we're gonna tip this with a chunk of whitefish and tuck that down inside the bucktail there. So let's see how this action is real quick. Oh yes. Dude, that looks so good. That's gotta get clobbered. All right, well there's your rod, good sir. There's something. So almost immediately we started seeing these weird marks on the fish finder pretty much directly under the ice, which I wasn't really expecting and I didn't know what to make of it at first. This was actually the first time ever attempting to fish pike through the ice, so I wasn't exactly sure what was happening here, and because the marks weren't moving, I decided it must just be some kind of weird interference with the fish finder, and I didn't really think much else of it at the time. As we'll find out a little bit later in the video, these marks actually were what we were looking for. I just didn't expect to see them this high in the water column. They weren't doing what I thought they should be doing, and because we just started fishing, we weren't doing the right thing at the time to initiate a strike from these fish. So needless to say, we didn't really have much luck the first little while that we were fishing. We spent about an hour cycling through different lures, trying some different jigging techniques, eating some lunch, and we just weren't getting any action at all. So finally, we ended up moving the tent to a new spot, just trying to find something different. Deeper water, better bottom structure, just something that could be holding fish. And after a while, it just seemed like we were going to end up striking out. At about this point of the day, we were feeling pretty discouraged, so I started getting lazy with the filming. I didn't have any cameras running, and we started honestly getting pretty bored just waiting for something to happen. So I switched from lures, tried some just cut dead herring hanging on a hook all the way down at the bottom in about 15 feet of water. Still nothing was happening. So finally, I was just trying stupid stuff, honestly, and I was like, you know what? Let's just leave this thing hanging like literally a foot underneath the ice and just see what happens. And then finally...
That's so weird. Why the f was he so shallow? Like, almost makes no sense.
I just let him eat it for a minute because I could literally see him. He was right under the ice, man. Dude, that is strange.
That is very strange.
All right, that answers our question. Well, we didn't get skunked.
No, you got a pike dinner, that's for sure.
And we might have just figured out what we need to do here. There we go.
Oh, he's swimming.
What the heck, man?
Okay.
Well, we learned something, huh? And it was at about this point that we finally had our aha moment and realized what we needed to do. If it isn't already obvious, it took us a while to figure out that we'd actually been looking at fish on the finder the whole time and not just interference. So I ended up cutting out a ton of footage of us doing completely the wrong thing and pretty much just standing around doing nothing. So you're welcome. So we just got the first fish just messing around, literally no cameras going or anything. I just set up kind of a bait rig. So this is just a simple split shot rig. I just got 2 split shots on there. And just a little bait hook, just a little J hook here. And we have been fishing for a little while, fishing deep. We're in about 14 feet of water right now. Didn't get any bites, so I decided to just reel this up, and I literally had it 2 feet underneath the hole. And we got that pike to eat within 2 minutes of me reeling up. So we're gonna kind of change tactics here. Probably keep trying some jig and stuff on one of these rods, but I'm gonna put another herring on this bait rig, and I guess we're just gonna set that right back under the ice. That was so weird, man. I literally looked down and just saw the rod tip moving, and I'm like, nah, chief. And then I literally see the fish with it in his mouth, just sitting there under the hole. So I guess that worked pretty well. So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did just a second ago. So I've got a whole herring here. These are just frozen herring, super oily white fish. So great for this kind of thing. Even frozen. I'm just gonna put that little J hook right through his back. Got the barb sticking out, and we're just gonna toss this right back under the ice and let those split shot take it down. So honestly, where we were before, they were probably there too. We were just doing the wrong thing. I don't know. But once we finally figured it out, it was game on, and the next bite came almost immediately. Glenn and I both stepped out of the tent for a minute to get some fresh air, but we left our rod set up inside with some bait down, and I'm sure that you can probably imagine where this is going.
You don't have to do that, man. Fish. Hey. Oh, it came off.
Despite losing the fish and almost losing a rod, this was confirmation that we were finally on the right track. Between fish, I always reset the GoPro just to mark the spot and make editing easier for myself, so I reached over, switched the camera off as Glenn climbed back into the tent, and of course, as soon as the camera went off, Glenn starts jigging and attracts a fish almost immediately.
Just drag drag is very loose on this one. You can hit that thing like a truck, dude.
Nice fish, man. Ooh.
Get over here, you bastard.
Solid pike.
Again, didn't take it deep enough to freaking... Nice.
Dude, so we literally, again, I guess this camera was rolling. I stepped outside to do something. He went out to take a leak. I look back in the tent, my rod's going down the hole. I tried to set it, I missed the hook set, and then that pike just hit his dead stick airplane jig. Dude, yes. Solid fish right there. I'm gonna keep them.
Are you?
Do a fish fry. So in Alaska, in South Central Alaska, these are actually an invasive species. They're native to above the Alaska range, so like in Fairbanks, up on like, you know, the Yukon and a lot of those lakes up there. These guys are actually native fish, but here in South Central, they are invasive. So ADF&G makes us kill every single one we catch. It's actually illegal to release this fish back into the hole. So we're gonna kill this one, but luckily these are really tasty fish, really beautiful white flaky flesh. So we're gonna take these home and fry them up into some pike nuggets tonight. Now, I don't have a bait knife with me, but what we can do is slip the bait scissors through the gills and just clip them right there, and that fish is gonna bleed out.
That one actually came up on the scope there.
Yeah, you did. Dude, that's what's up. We are figuring it out. Now let's see if we can actually get some footage of us hooking up.
Was the camera not rolling for that one?
It wasn't, but I turned it on like as soon as you hooked up. So I mean, we got the fight. It just, we didn't get the initial.
The drag was so loose.
Yeah.
I like hooked in, you just like zoom right to the bottom.
I loosened it because I didn't want him taking the rod. Yeah, that's a solid fish, man. In the summertime, these are very, very aggressive fish. Glenn and I have actually filmed a series of videos on this lake a couple years back. I'll link those down in the description. But in the summertime, you can throw flies at these guys and they're super aggressive. They'll snap up pretty much anything that moves. Your presentation doesn't have to be super great. Crazy colors, big flies, doesn't really matter. In the wintertime, it seems like they get a little bit more lethargic. This is actually really my first time actually targeting these guys in the wintertime through the ice. So we're kind of just figuring it out as we go here. It seems like we're getting somewhere now. But just as soon as we thought we had it all figured out, the bite just stopped. And if that doesn't sum up fishing in a nutshell, I don't know what does. This trip was still a ton of fun, and that's actually always been one of my favorite things about fishing. Even if you're not getting bites, it's the puzzle, and you have to find all the pieces and put them together and figure out what you have to do to get those fish to bite. And it's the journey to get to that point where you finally successfully start landing fish, and it's just such a satisfying moment. Honestly, we could have gone this whole day and only caught one fish, and I still would have been stoked, because it's really more about the exploration and the adventure to get to that point, especially in a place like Alaska. And that's what Alaska's always been to me. It's freedom, exploration, adventure. And you know, they don't call it the last frontier for nothing. It really is that. There's just so much open wilderness to explore, so much public use land, thousands and thousands of lakes and rivers and streams and places just like this where you can just trek back into the woods over frozen lakes for miles and miles and just find these perfect spots loaded with fish. It's not about the biggest fish, it's just about just having fun. We got out there a lot later than we intended to. And by the time we finally got the gear loaded up and trekked all the way out to this lake, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon already. So we only ended up having a couple hours of fishable daylight to really do anything before we needed to start heading back. So after that first hour and a half of not catching anything, we even moved the tent, went through all that work to reposition everything, and still not catching anything. We started getting super discouraged. So I started getting kind of sloppy with the camera work. That's why I didn't have a single one of the hookups on film, because I was to the point where I was just like, oh, we're probably gonna skunk out. Didn't have the cameras rolling, and then we started figuring out what we needed to do. I've never ice fished for pike, so I had no idea that it was a normal thing for them to be glued up to the bottom of the ice, even in deep water like that. So once we figured that out, we started you know, catching fish there for a few minutes. And that last spot, we were over weed beds. So in my mind, you know, going off what I know from summertime pike fishing, they should be down in those weed beds, because you would think that's where the bait is. But what we started realizing is that this is probably a water temperature like thermocline issue. So you get things called thermoclines where you know, cold water's denser, warmer water's less dense. So So they sit on top of each other and they form a layer. And what we think was probably happening is those pike were up underneath the ice because the water was probably warmer than it was down low, and that's probably where their bait source was. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Is that correct? Is that incorrect? I don't really know, but that's the only thing that we could really think of. Super weird, but at least we figured it out. It was super cool to at least catch a couple of these things. But with all that being said, the video is not over. What I decided to do is take these things home and cook them up. Pike are one of the most delicious freshwater fish to eat. They taste really good, especially out of freezing cold water like this in the wintertime. So let's just jump ahead to the cooking portion of this video. This turned out awesome. I hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty guys, we're back at the house now. I've got our Northern Pike here, and I'm gonna show you how to get one of these things cleaned up, and we're gonna cook it up for dinner. Because they're an invasive species, we have to kill every single one we catch. The unfortunate thing is they're so bony that a lot of people just don't wanna take the time to process them. So a lot of the pike lakes that we have here, you'll just find piles of carcasses that people have caught and just discarded on the bank. And it's a shame because they're such a good eating fish. So I'm gonna show you guys how to process one of these things. It just takes a little bit of a different technique that most people just haven't seen before. So let's get into this, guys. So the anatomy of these things is really weird compared to a lot of other species, and they've actually got strips of what are called Y bones that run down the sides of the fish. These bones actually run parallel to the spine, up and down on the fish, all the way down to about right here. You're actually gonna flip the fish up and sit it on its belly just like that. And that's the reason that I don't recommend gutting these fish before you get to the cleaning process, because if you gut it, the sides are gonna be super floppy and you're not gonna be able to set it up like this. So take your fillet knife, find the back of that skull, and we're gonna start making a cut until you feel that fillet knife hit some bones. Then from here, we're gonna turn our fillet knife sideways, and we're gonna follow that spine all the way down the back of the fish, and we're gonna come up right before we get to the dorsal fin. If you guys can take a look there, you'll see that spine. You can flip this open to get a better look if you need to. And just follow that spine all the way down. And while you're doing this, you're gonna feel the knife cutting through little tiny bones, and those are gonna be the Y bones right here, and then you've got the spine down the middle, and come up right in front of that dorsal fin. If you take your finger and actually run it down this cut of meat here, you're gonna feel it catching those Y bones, and that's gonna bring them up so the ends are actually sticking up out of the fish. And you wanna do that because we need to know where those rows are in order to be able to get the next pieces of meat off of this fish here. And starting at that cut that we made at the base of the head, we're actually gonna make a cut down the side of the fish, and then we're gonna make a cut down the side of the fish right here at the back of our original cut. You wanna go until you feel that spine on the outside of the Y bones. So we've got the Y bones here. We're gonna start making super shallow cuts all the way from the front of the fish to all the way to the back of the fish. Just take your time, and we're just kind of outlining our fillets right now and meet our cut on the back. And we're just gonna very carefully take this fillet all the way down to the belly of the fish. Okay, now what's gonna happen, once you get to the bottom of your fillets, you're gonna break through into the gut sac, and all this meat's gonna start separating kind of where these lines are. Those are the Y bones that kind of go straight up and down like that and enclose the gut sac of these fish. Finish stripping this from the Y bones, and you'll see that it just starts flapping wide open here. We can just drag that fillet knife right down the bottom of the fillet, and that's gonna separate it from the belly of the fish. Those fins do have bones in them, of course, so we don't want that on there. Although if you do cook the fins, they get nice and crispy and they taste amazing. You just have to pick the meat off of the bones. So the last thing that we need to do here is we need to get the two fillets off the tail. We're gonna take our knife and come straight down until we find that spine, and then you can just turn sideways and follow that spine all the way to the tail. And we're just gonna skim right over all the bones that go into these two fins on the top and the bottom of the fish, and straight off the tail. And that is all there is to it. So this, I think most people kind of refer to this as the 5 fillet method, because you get your back strap, you get one side, you get two sides, and then you get both sides of your tail, which results in 5 pieces of meat from one fish. You can come in here, kind of take this fin out, and then you can kind of work your way along that spine through those bones, come up, discard that. You can do the same thing on the bottom, and then you've got a little bit of meat all through here that you can kind of carve off and do like fish tacos with or whatever. It's a little bit more work than I typically like to go through. I mean, there's a fair amount. On a bigger fish, it might be worth it, but on a smaller carcass like this, that's really all the, you know, the easy meat that there is to get. All right, so we got our fish all cleaned up here. So I went ahead and just de-skinned this and just cut it up into strips. So we're gonna keep this just simple. I've just got a panko mix here, some black pepper, a little bit of Slap Your Mama seasoning, some smoked paprika, and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. So I'm just gonna get some of that seasoning on this side. Okay, then we can take our seasoned chunks. We're gonna run it through this egg wash, press it into our panko, and straight in the oil. All right, guys, there it is. Let's give it a little taste test here. That was good. Really good stuff. We did about a minute on each side for those thin fillets, and it turned out perfectly done. Nice flaky white meat, beautiful panko crust. Doesn't get much better than that. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching. I had a blast filming this video series. If you haven't seen the first 2 videos, I'll link them down below in the description. Also down there, I will put a couple videos that Glenn and I filmed at the same lake a couple years back. We fished in the summertime from the kayaks, and it was really cool. This is a really unique body of water, really awesome fishery, and catching these pike on the fly is a ton of fun. So go check that stuff out, guys. Also, if you want to see more of my content, you can just go over to my channel, click the videos tab, and everything I've ever uploaded will be right there for you to watch. Also, while you're over there, if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and click that subscribe button. That way you guys don't miss any new content as I upload it. I've got a ton of new stuff coming here soon that I've been working on. Also, this coming summer, I do plan to make a trip back up to Alaska for a couple weeks. And in the summertime, there's a lot of really awesome stuff that we could potentially get into. I've got some pretty cool plans already that we're gonna try to get some good videos filmed for you guys. And just being back home in Alaska, it really brought back some awesome memories and really made me realize and remember just why I love Alaska. It's so open and so free and so natural. There's just so much wilderness to explore. So if you're into hunting, fishing, camping, whatever, if you've never been there, I highly recommend going and checking it out at least once in your lifetime. It's such a cool place. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you that's subscribing to the channel and supporting this content that I'm doing. We're getting real close to 10,000 subscribers, and it's getting more and more exciting every single time I upload a video and I see that you guys are enjoying it and liking the content. It's awesome. It's a good feeling. I appreciate you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you, guys.